Hello, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, hello, my name's Ellie. So fun fact, makeup tutorial Q&As stress me out a bit because it's really hard to beat your face while trying to talk, and also editing that is also a ball ache because like you're trying to keep in the bits where you're doing your makeup, but you're also trying to keep in the chatty bits and you're doing your makeup and chatting at the same time. It's just basically a mess. I thought I would kind of do something a little bit creative. It's not creative, it's literally just a voiceover, but I thought maybe we could have like a podcast kind of vibe while you get to see me doing my makeup, so you kind of get the best of both worlds. Hey there, Hannah Montana, how you doing? You can get on with your own shiz while you're listening to this, or if you want to see what I'm doing with my face, you can watch what I'm doing with my face. If you just want the tutorial, you can mute me, I don't care. Let me know if this is a cool style, if you like it, if you hate it. I'm open to honesty, so throw it at me. I told you lot to also throw questions at me so I could answer them and sit here and chat with you. By the way, this makeup look was supposed to be a pansexual flag look, but as you will see, the pink eyeshadow slowly turns into a reddy orangey eyeshadow because it mixes with the yellow, and therefore it just looks like I've done some sort of flame design. So I'm happy to either way, but I will probably try a pansexual flag look in the future, seeing as this one flopped so bad. I should call it the pansexual flop instead of flag. Thank you, Aline, for this first question about living alone. Is it what I expected, or are there challenges I didn't think of? What I actually feared most about living alone is actually what happened to be the hardest thing to deal with living alone. I'm on a low income job, and it's obviously something that I'm going to have to really strap down and make work if I want to continue living on my own. I have to constantly budget everything I do in my life, and that's not something I'm used to. Obviously, when you've been living with your parents your whole life, you have that backup. If shit goes down, they can help you, but I can't go crying to my mum and say, you know, I need some money. Like, I'm not that type of person. I hate asking people for money. Me and Adam try and treat finances fairly and equally, but there are times where he pays a little bit more than I do because he earns a little bit more than I do. So money is probably the hardest thing, the hardest challenge. Also, trying to accept that things aren't going to go smoothly and swimmingly, especially when I have a lifestyle channel here on YouTube. Like, I want it all to be so beautiful and lovely, and I wanted a house tour done like weeks ago now for you guys, but the place is not how I wanted it to be and expected it to be. It's what I need to remember. Like, I look back at old videos and I'm like, actually it has come far from just a few weeks ago, but it's always something, you know, like there's always something that I want to do, there's something I want to change, I want to do this, want to do that. Like my office room, the little room that was under the stairs that was supposed to be the office room that you guys saw in the house tour, it is just not office. It's storage. There is so much we still have to go through. I'm sick of seeing boxes. I'm sick of going through stuff, chucking it, keeping it. There isn't a whole lot of room here for all of our stuff, even though it's a big flat. It's still not big enough, you know, and that's stressful as well because I wanted this place to be done. I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling of moving in somewhere thinking it's going to be done by month 2, but we're in month like 7 now, and it's nowhere near what I thought it was going to be. So that's a bit stressful. There's always an issue with me. There's always a problem. Also, I feel like I'm constantly cleaning and washing up and tidying and dusting, and the adult life hit me like a ton of bricks, but it's also a little bit stressful because I feel like I have to keep up with that a lot more than my partner feels. So he'll be quite comfortable with the fact that like we haven't dusted for a while or we haven't cleaned for a little bit. He doesn't want to live in filth, obviously, but he's okay with like not mopping the floors regularly, whereas I'm like, we need to do this, and he's like, do we? And I'm like, yes, just help me, batch. So that's a little bit of a struggle, I suppose, keeping the housework and chores fair. Council tax also hit me a lot more than I thought it was. I was like, why the frick is council tax so much money? Did not know council tax was that much money. Yay! Not being able to do as much and spend as much money on trivial things like this December for Vlogmas and for Christmas and for my own health, mental health and stuff. I wanted to do some fun things, get some fun things, festive stuff sorted and have a grand old time, but I had had to buckle down and say no to most things, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to go home for Christmas or get my family some nice presents. So I don't think we have many festive stuff ready for Christmas, because we simply can't afford to train somewhere to go and see some lights and stuff. So we're going to keep it local, we're going to keep it basic this year. This is a really tough one, because this is some gossip that I'm going to bring you guys into, and I am going to talk about this properly on my channel officially soon, but I have been playing with the idea of getting a part-time job alongside YouTube, and maybe halving like my time on YouTube here. So I'll probably be uploading like a lot less because of financial reasons. I really need to find myself something that's going to give me actual like promised income, rather than a self-employed form of income, which is very random and very unexpected. You never know what you're going to get when you're self-employed. So I have been thinking of doing a part-time job alongside YouTube, and it will mean I probably will only upload once a week, but it is hard, like when you're living on a low income. Like I try my best to balance things out. Like I've got myself a Patreon, I do tarot readings now, I try and get my income as big as possible. It's still really difficult, but a simple answer to this question would be anything to do with, it would still be filming and editing. It would probably be creating content for other people, so making video content for businesses, like going into a business and filming stuff for them and editing it up for them and sending it to them, like making a commercial for businesses and stuff. I would love to do that. Or just like making documentaries for people, like basically being a videographer. Whatever someone wants, I'd make it for them. So like I'll do interviews and stuff for them if they need that. I don't know what for, but I wouldn't do that at the same time as doing YouTube. Like I don't think I would have the brain capacity to fit YouTube in with doing a videography job at the same time, because those two jobs are so similar to each other that I think it would really stress me out, and I don't think I would end up enjoying it. However, if I was to quit YouTube tomorrow, I would go into videography and then have like a part-time job at a shop or something like that, because I think I wouldn't want two jobs that are very intense like that and very similar too, because it would make it very hard to differentiate between the two, if that makes any sense. So doing YouTube, I'd want to do something like have just work in a shop, something quite simple, something quite relaxed, in a museum or in a library, that kind of vibe. That's the kind of stuff that I've been looking at to do in a part-time. But as a career, I'd be a videographer, definitely, or an editor. Edit for other people would be really fun. I'd quite like that. Have I ever listened to a song at just the right point in my life and it's hit me harder than any other time I've listened to it? I used to love the song Need You Now, you know, like it's 1:15. That one, I used to love that song. Like I was in a really dark place and I was heartbroken. I was really young. It was my first love, and like I related to that song in my very bones. Like I was obsessed with it. At the same time, in the same period of my life, I also really liked I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight. Yeah, this was a really sad moment in my life. I'm sorry. I love this question. What is your most favorite thing to do to wind yourself down after a stressful day? Oh my goodness. So definitely anything to do with eating food. I love just like indulging in good food. It doesn't have to be unhealthy food, just yummy food, warm food, comforting food. Love that for me. And also lighting a whole bunch of candles, putting something cozy on the TV, like a cozy film or a cozy series. Want to wrap up underneath a blanket, get really warm and snug. Be quite quiet and reserved. I sit back a little bit. I don't talk as much. I kind of just observe what's going on. Like if there's people in the room that I'm in, I'll just sit and watch them doing whatever they're doing. I just like to keep myself to myself and just kind of people watch a little bit and look around the room, see what's going on. I don't have to be doing anything intense. In fact, I just need to be doing nothing at all. It's also quite nice to have a bath. Sometimes I like to do something a little bit productive, but that doesn't mean lots of work or effort. So if I'm doing something productive that doesn't take a lot of time, I'll just sort of get on with that quite slowly, quite quietly, because the payoff I get afterwards when it's done is really, really good, because I'll look back at the thing I finished and I'm like, yes, I've done it, and I'll feel good about myself for doing something super rewarding. I always find this question really interesting when people ask me this, because I don't tend to have an answer for this when everyone else seems to have their like ready answer for this question anytime it gets fired at them. I don't actually have a preference of where I want to live. I actually really like living in the UK. The only thing I don't like about living in the UK is the weather. I don't think I have found my place yet. Like, I moved up north in the UK because I wanted to try and find my place and discover where I feel the best me. How did that stay in one piece? Okay. So I still don't think I found that, and I like it here and I like it down south, and I've been to a few countries and I like them, but I haven't found my place, and I find that odd. I will keep searching, don't you worry, but I just can't imagine me living abroad. Like, the idea of having water between me and my comfort country, which is the UK, is pretty petrifying, if I'm honest. But I've managed to live miles and miles away from my hometown, so maybe I can try it one day. I don't know. I try not to be cringed out by any of my crushes, because I know a lot of my crushes are not conventional. I have the oddest crushes. If I could go through my crush list, I would probably like shock most of you, but I try to just own it, and I'm like, whatever, it's fine. I love the fact that she's like, I'll admit I'll do ungodly things for Hugh Grant. Damn, girl, my mind is racing about those. You just made that sound so graphic. But mine is a few, let me tell you, a few old men from the Hollywood scene, girl. I like older men. I do like, I have my biggest crush is probably Jack Nicholson when it comes to traditional like Hollywood celebrities. I do love me a Jack Nicholson. I don't know what it is about him. There's something about him. He's great. He's delicious. He's cuddly, but he's also sexy. I also have quite a big crush on Shay Carl. He's a YouTuber, so it's not as a conventional celebrity. But yeah, I love Shay. I love everything about him. Like, everything about him. I love his strengths, his weaknesses, his flaws, his perfections, his humor, his personality, his vibe, his energy, the way he thinks, things he does. Like, I just adore everything about him. I find it very, very difficult to crush on someone by just going on their looks, because so much of what I love about people and fancy about people is their personality. And I'm not saying that to sound like a great person. I genuinely cannot fancy someone unless I know what they're like as a person, because I really easily get grossed out by the way people act. You can be the fittest of fittest people and you do something stupid or just moderately annoying and I want to shoot you in the head. So, next question, fave conspiracy theory. Fun fact about me, we're learning all sorts in this video, I think. I don't actually like conspiracy theories very much. I'm not a big fan of conspiracy theory videos or channels or that kind of gossipy stuff, because a lot of them seem so far-fetched to me and I can't help but cringe when I watch a new conspiracy theory that comes out, and I'm just like, either A, I think, how the hell did people not know this before, or B, that is so far from the truth and it's so ridiculous to an extent where it feels like people are really trying to scratch at anything. In fact, I wanted to make a video on debunking some conspiracy theories because I felt like maybe my cynical mind can add some texture to our conversations on the internet about conspiracy theories, because I do feel completely on my own. But then again, me and Adam will sit and watch them together and he'll be on my side almost all the time, because I don't fall very easily for much. I'm not someone that jumps on a bandwagon when someone starts gossip or a conversation about something that doesn't have evidence behind it, which is quite interesting to think, actually, considering I'm a spiritualist, so my faith is constantly being debunked here, there, left, right and centre. But there are some that I think are right and are very obvious, actually. I do believe that we have all the research that is needed for things like health treatment, so like diseases and stuff. I think that, I don't even know if this counts as a conspiracy theory, but I do 100% feel that we are not being told what we actually have access to, because we are being protected, I suppose, in a weird, morbid way from overpopulating this planet. And I think that also I believe there's either a lot more that's going on in our galaxy than we are being told. I think there's either more knowledge about what is out there than we currently know about our solar system and about the other planets, etc. I think there's more information about things that are existing on the planets around us or there's actually less than we know, and some of the stuff has been fabricated up to give us some sort of false idea of what we have around us, because actually it's a lot less known than we believe, and therefore it could potentially be dangerous. So we're either being like taken for a ride just because, you know, information is power and all of that, and people are hungry for money, or we're kind of being protected because it's like actually a lot more of a mystery than we believe it is. This is a Q&A, so I need to kind of get going with some of the other questions you lot have. What's your favorite video game of all time? That's such a cool one. I'm gonna have to be lame and say The Sims, because it's carried me throughout my entire life. It's been on off for sure, but it's something I have a lot of memories and love attached to. I also really used to love Roller Coaster Tycoon back in the day, so that will come a little bit under that. But if we're talking more modern day stuff, if I'm not thinking about my childhood and I'm just gonna go for like current or like within the past few years, I did really like Overwatch. I've kind of gone off it a little bit now, but I do dip in and out of it, and I think it's a wicked game, and it's my first person shooter I ever got into, so I always will have a lot of love for that. But actually a game I will recommend to everyone is actually Heavy Rain. I was so tense playing it, and it is a interactive movie game, so you are basically watching a movie but you're also taking part in it. It's like a video game where your decisions have consequences, so what you decide to do in the game affects how the game plays out, and you have to try and achieve things and do things. And because I did really well in that game, it really made me like the game. So Adam was like, I don't think you're enjoying this, because I was really stressed out playing it because I really wanted everyone to survive, and it was also just such a like anxiety fueled game. I have anxiety as it is, so playing games like that really amp up my anxiety, and I don't think Adam really understands that because he doesn't have anxiety. But when I finished playing it, I was like, right, now I can step back and look at what I've just done. I understand it was a really freaking good game. It's just when I'm playing it, I get really stressed. Basically, they test to see how far you're willing to go as a father to protect your son. And that's all I will say. And it's really well made. It's really freaking cool. I had no idea what to expect when it came to dyeing my hair in a rented home. I knew it would be a little bit more nerve-wracking than it was living with my parents. But yes, I totally get it. However, it hasn't actually ever stopped me from, like, I dyed my hair in my living room not long ago, as you'll see in a video that I posted when I tried to do my flamey, fiery hair. And it wasn't, like, it didn't stop me enough from doing that. And I was doing that on wooden floor. That could have stained the wooden floor for sure. But I still have, like, the balls to do it. It's just a little bit more nerve-wracking. But you'll probably tell in my last hair dyeing video that I was rocking back and forward when dyeing my hair. That was partly out of fear of staining anything and a bit of nerves, mixed with me dancing to a song that was playing whilst I was dyeing my hair. Advice for anyone with a creative block. I get this a lot, and I've had this for a good few months now, and it's not even a creative block. I guess it's, for me, I have some ideas, they're there in the distance, but like it's finding the spark to make them and film them. Like I just feel a little bit like unenthusiastic about the creative ideas I have, so I guess that kind of counts. For me, I would say it's best to just sort of think about that creative block as little as you possibly can for the time being, and fill your life with as much fun and exciting things that you love doing as possible, because the most creative and best ideas come to you when you least expect them and when you're not looking for them. So if you fill your calendar up with events and activities and fun things to do, as much as physically possible, because you get the cogs in your brain kind of starting to move, and you will take in other sights and sounds, and believe it or not, like that's when things will hit you the best and the most. I would also encourage you to take part in activities and hobbies and new things that you haven't done before. So try and tread new waters, because that will activate a part of you that feels fresh and exciting, and it will give you the endorphins and the hormones that you kind of need to spark something new up. And I think dealing with new emotions and dealing with new stuff that you haven't had to tackle before is actually a really beautiful thing, because it's when artists create their best pieces of art during like heightened emotions. So like fear and excitement. Even if you're doing something really dramatic and crazy, that's going to be, I know this isn't the best advice, but sometimes I do things that like scare me a little bit, so it might be a little bit triggering towards me, because that activates a part of me that wants to create and find an outlet to let that all out, and that's how I make my best pieces, I think. So I would also encourage you to have conversations with people that you are inspired by. Go talk to people that make art that you would like to make, or also go out and actively see if there's any talks or demonstrations on stuff that you love. When I lose my love for my passion, I usually go to a place where there's lots of like-minded people who also have that passion, so I can feel the buzz in the room and in the air and the energy again, and then see other people's efforts and achievements and successes, and that gets me in the mood to want to make my own success story. This is such a funny question. An event where you thought you broke space and time, or a glitch in the matrix. There's so many occasions where I wish I write things down more often. There is something which isn't really on the wavelength you're talking about, but I was just sitting here thinking to myself, like, what's a moment that's happened in my life where I've really questioned everything that's ever existed before? And the first thing that actually came to mind was during a ghost hunt. Surprise, surprise. Me and my family were at a building. I can't remember if it was an abandoned building or just an old building. We were doing the typical like seance. I think we might even been doing a Ouija board, and my sister-in-law she's really good at whistling. We always tell her to do the dedicated thing, you know, like in ghost hunts where they usually whistle. They go like, I can't whistle, oh my god. They go like that is like probably the best whistle I've ever done. So you do that in hopes that the whistle gets repeated to you, because of frequencies and stuff. Like higher frequencies are supposed to be heard better from the other side. I don't really know. It's just worth trying basically. So she does it all the time, and this one time she did it, we all fell quiet, trying to desperately listen to see if it repeated itself. And we've done it before, so it's not as though we're gonna just like make it up and pretend it repeated itself, because there's a load of times where it didn't work. So this one time we're all quiet and we hear the faintest response of her exact whistle about 3 seconds later, but very, very, very quiet. And I cannot explain this in any other way, but the feeling of it sounding as though it literally came from another dimension, and I'm getting goosebumps talking about this, because what I mean by that is it sounded as though it was like 2 rooms away. Like it sounded like it was through a wall or 2. Obviously, if it was through a wall, we wouldn't be able to hear it as clearly as we did. It was like a very faint, in the distance, sort of echoey whistle, like you'd hear in Insidious or something, like when they're in the other world and like someone's whistling from far away. That is the first time I've ever heard anything with my naked ears, like without listening to any equipment, without it being recorded, and everyone else responded at the exact same time, so we all heard it as well, so that helps. It wasn't just me hearing it and hoping it was there, so I magicked it up. It happened, it was creepy, and it was really cool. A habit that I realized that I have, and I didn't realize I had this until I actually moved out. My god, I am clumsy. Like I don't know if it's because I live with someone who's very like calm and collected and thinks about what he's doing all the time, and I'm just a bit erratic. It's really brought out my clumsy side. I realize how much I do before thinking, and he's a think before doing kind of person, so I will break things really easily. I'll try and sort something out and end up making it worse. I will jump to conclusions about something and end up doing something really silly. I make mistakes all the time. I'm tripping over things. I break things, I do silly stuff, which goes with my other habit, which is quite similar to this, less on a kind of accident prone side, but more of a rushing to do the thing I need to get done now and as quickly as possible. I have tunnel vision when it comes to like a little goal or desire I have of mine, and what makes it worse is I don't tend to share with people what it is that I need to get done. So in my head I'll be like, right, this evening I need to clear all those boxes by that wall over there in my dining room, and then I need to do all the dishes, I need to cook this certain thing I really want to cook for dinner, and then I need to get this thing wiped off my laptop. So I have these goals in mind. I'll keep them to myself, I won't even tell them to anyone, and then Adam will come home and I'll be like, come on, let's do those boxes, go, go, go. And he'll sit down for like 5 minutes and I'll be like, why aren't you doing the boxes? And he's like, what boxes? And I'm like, those ones, we have washing up to do, we have this to wipe off my laptop. And I like say all these things that I just suddenly have told myself I need to get done, as if it was a big like mission I had for myself weeks ago. And I 101% got that from my mum. She's the same, and I remember growing up thinking, oh my god, like when she has something on her mind, she doesn't let anyone stop her. And that was usually me as a child, and I end up thinking, Jesus, like this woman, I need to step away and I'll come out my bedroom when she's in a better mood. I've picked it up from my mum because I'm the same thing now, and I think she picked it up from her mum. So it's this ongoing thing. So God bless my future child who has to experience that for herself and then also do it herself. So funny story when it comes to me and Adam having kids or getting married. He's the one who wants the kids and I'm the one who wants the wedding. But the thing is, like, I'm not totally opposed to having kids. It's just I would probably want kids more so if I wasn't the one having the actual child. Like, the whole process of having a child, other than the dirty at the beginning, is just so vile to me, and I just don't want anything to do with any of it. And it makes me so sad to think that I can't just pass the responsibility onto him because he's the one that wants the kids more. But the funny thing is, me and Adam both grew up actually telling our friends and family and teachers that the one thing we wanted to do when we were older was just to have kids. Like, over time I've kind of gone off the idea. Kids literally repulse me. People will show me their children or like hand me their baby and I'm just like, there's not an inch of me that like gets broody or thinks this child's cute at the moment anyway. So it's nice to know that eventually, if I do and when I do, Adam will be all up and ready because he really wanted to be a dad. So it's nice to be with someone who really wants to be a dad, and he would make a great dad for sure. He'd be very patient and calm and understanding and lovely, and I'd be that crazy erratic mum who's like probably dropping her child or something. What's your favourite thing about Newcastle? This is probably going to be my last question because this is getting long. My favourite thing about Newcastle, I like how small the city is, and that's not as a bad thing. I like the fact that everything is close together. If we need to get to anything when you're out, like on a night out clubbing, the bars are very close to each other. You just need to roll to the next bar. It's all very intimate, and that's how I like cities. I also really like the metro system. It's basically like the London Underground, but tiny. I want to do more makeup looks on this channel, but I want to switch it up with how I decide to do them. Once again, I'm on social media such as Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, so catch me behind the scenes. If you want to book a tarot session with me, email me using the email down there in my video description. Thank you once again. Loads of love from my house to yours. See you guys very soon.